All right, here we go. This is Kinesiology 231, and this is an overview of Lab 8. For Lab 8, you'll be evaluating flexibility and efficiency of movement, if you will. Now, the tests that are to be performed will be this, or these. Sit and reach, back scratch test, closed kinetic chain upper extremity stability test, and then it's going to be either or here. So it's either the single leg squat or the forward step down test. So with this, you got to understand that the first couple tests are pretty absolute, right? You either sit and reach out 23 centimeters, 10 and a half inches, or you don't. So it's pretty absolute and it's pretty objective. But as we go through this, you'll find that there's a little more subjectivity involved. But real quick, what I want to get across is this. When you go ahead and look at this, go ahead and use the rubric to help guide you. And then also you'll use the instructions, for example, on 233, and then depending upon the test, there's a couple different tables that you'll use. When we get into the back scratch test, you'll use the description provided on 235, and then make sure you hold on to your answers because you'll need those for a question on Blackboard. You'll see that in a second. Closed kinetic chain upper body extremity stability test, that's on 241, and this, because there's a limiting factor in terms of technique, if technique breaks down, you stop the test, there's a little bit of a subjective measure to this. When you get into the single leg squat or the forward step test down, here's what happens. If your client or participant cannot do the single leg squat, then you're going to have them do the forward step down test. It's either or with this one. So you look at this and you're now going to evaluate their movement based off of a table that's provided on page 243, which I'll show in 1 second. So it's either going to be either or, and that table is going to be either one. And as you, that table is going to be used for either one. And when you do that, hold on 1 second. So for example, when you use this table, it's either going to be a plus or a minus. They do it right or they don't do it right. There are other testing protocols that you can use. So for example, if you use an FMS movement screen, you have 7 movements. And each one is worth 3 points apiece, 3 in the max, 0 on the bottom if they can't do the movement pattern, and then it becomes a more graduated scale. This is pretty absolute. You either pass it or you don't. So whether you're doing the step down or the single leg squat movement pattern, you're trying to evaluate things like their arm positioning, also their trunk alignment. As we scroll this down a little bit further, are they staying erect? Now you're going to get a little bit of offset, of course, over the one leg. If you didn't do that and you didn't have head over foot, you'd fall over. Look at this in terms of valgus, right? The knee is buckling in, and that's a little bit of a hip out position, so it's kind of a cumulative effect here. Same thing with thigh motion, and then also knee position. So you have 6 different areas to evaluate and offer a plus or a negative. And you'll use these data points as well as the other data points to help you answer questions within Blackboard. So when we go into Lab 8, we have Lab 8 results. That's where you'll find this. Lab 8 results will have these questions that'll be essay-based. The first one is for the closed chain kinetic upper extremity test. What were your 3 scores? What was the average? If you read the process, this is part of the process. You have to have 3 scores and you take an average. And then you're going to go ahead and use that to help you calculate out your power score. When you get into question 2, and we look at the single leg squat and forward step down test, depending on which one you do, it's still going to be the same 6 evaluation points. It's going to be a plus or a minus for each one. So you can literally do a cut paste, do plus minus, plus minus, plus minus, and then look at how many negative you had for the single leg squat or the forward step down test. It's going to be either or here. And then was this or did this meet the criteria for passing as noted in the book on page 242. All right, guys, hopefully this helps. And email with questions. Thanks.